There was a time when bread was heavy in the hands and steady in the body. You could feel its weight before you ever tasted it. It did not bend easily. It did not disappear with one bite. It was not soft. It was not sweet. It was not fast. It asked you to slow down, to chew, to pause. And when you ate it, something unusual happened. Your hunger did not rush back. Your body settled. Your mind grew calm. Hours could pass without distraction, without cravings, without the quiet restlessness that follows modern meals. And somehow, in a world with fewer comforts and harder days, people felt full. Not just in the stomach, but in strength, in energy, in steadiness. This video is about what we lost when bread stopped being built to sustain life. When time was removed, substance was stripped away, and fullness was replaced with convenience. It is about how hunger became normal, not because the human body changed, but because the food did. Bread was once built to sustain life. Medieval bread was never meant to impress the eye. It did not need softness, sweetness, or perfection. It existed for one reason only: to keep a human being alive. In a world without supermarkets, without refrigeration, without constant access to food, bread was not a side item. It was survival itself. A loaf was expected to carry a man through hours of physical labor, through cold mornings and long roads, through fields, workshops, and stone-built homes where energy was burned, not stored. Every decision in the bread reflected this reality. The grain was chosen for endurance, not taste. The grind was rough because strength mattered more than smoothness. The bake was firm because softness did not last. Bread had to hold the body together. There was no room for emptiness, no tolerance for food that failed quickly. Modern bread is born into a different world, a world of abundance, speed, and constant stimulation. It is designed to be eaten without thinking, to be soft enough that it barely needs chewing, to disappear quickly so the hand reaches for another slice. Convenience replace nourishment. Speed replaces strength. When bread becomes entertainment, the body loses trust in it. You can eat modern bread and still feel unfinished. Not because you ate too little, but because the food never intended to complete you. Medieval bread carried weight physically and symbolically. It was heavy because it needed to last. It was dark because nothing was removed. It was firm because the body needed resistance. That resistance created fullness, not just in the stomach, but in the nervous system. The body felt safe. It knew it had been fed properly. Modern bread offers the opposite experience. It gives quick pleasure, then quickly leaves. The stomach empties. Blood sugar rises and falls. Hunger returns not slowly, but urgently. Cravings are not weakness. They are signals. And what they often signal is this: the food did not do its job. Medieval bread ended the question of eating. It closed the chapter. Modern bread opens a loop. Eat. Want more. Eat again. Not because the body needs more food, but because it never received real sustenance in the first place. And that is the quiet tragedy of modern bread. Whole grains taught the body patience. Medieval bread was built on the understanding that the human body does not thrive on speed, but on steadiness. The grain was never stripped, refined, or altered to make digestion faster or easier in the moment. It was left whole because wholeness served the body better than convenience ever could. The bran, the germ, and the endosperm remained together, working as one system rather than isolated parts, and this natural structure shaped how energy entered the body. When a person ate medieval bread, digestion happened slowly and deliberately. The body was not flooded with sudden glucose or forced into sharp rises and crashes. Instead, energy was released over hours, not minutes, allowing the body to remain calm, focused, and physically capable for long periods of work. Hunger did not arrive suddenly or aggressively because the food had not abandoned the body. It stayed present, unfolding gradually, teaching the body to trust what it had eaten. Whole grains required effort to digest, and that effort was not a flaw. It was a signal to the body that real nourishment had arrived. The stomach worked steadily, the blood sugar remained stable, and the nervous system stayed grounded. This process created a deep sense of fullness that extended beyond the stomach and into the entire system. The body felt supported rather than stimulated. Modern bread removes this structure entirely. By stripping away the bran and germ, modern flour loses the very components that slow digestion and regulate appetite. What remains is starch that converts quickly into sugar, rushing into the bloodstream and disappearing just as fast. The body experiences this as incomplete nourishment, and it responds by asking for more food soon after, not because it is weak, but because it never finished digesting anything meaningful. Patience was built into medieval bread through its design. Each bite required chewing, each meal required time, and each digestion cycle unfolded naturally. The body learned to wait because the food itself was steady, reliable, and complete. There was no urgency, no panic hunger, no sudden drop in energy demanding immediate correction. Modern bread trains the opposite response. It teaches the body to expect quick energy and quick disappearance. Hunger becomes frequent, cravings become louder, and eating becomes repetitive rather than satisfying. The body loses its sense of rhythm because the food no longer provides one. Whole grains were not simply ingredients. They were a lesson in timing. They taught the body that nourishment does not arrive all at once and does not need to. Fullness was something that grew quietly and stayed present, allowing people to move through their day without constantly thinking about their next meal. Medieval bread respected the body's natural pace. Modern bread interrupts it. And in that interruption, patience is lost, stability is broken, and hunger quietly becomes a permanent companion rather than a passing signal. Time was the secret ingredient. Medieval bread was shaped by time in a way modern food no longer allows. Nothing about the process was rushed because nothing could be rushed. Grain had to be harvested, dried, stored, and ground slowly. Dough was mixed by hand, rested naturally, and allowed to change on its own terms. This waiting was not inefficiency, it was preparation. Time transformed raw grain into something the human body could truly accept. Natural fermentation was the quiet engine behind medieval bread. As dough rested, microorganisms worked patiently, breaking down complex starches and proteins long before the bread reached the stomach. This meant the body did not have to struggle with food that was still chemically raw. The grain arrived already softened, already altered, already partially digested. Digestion became cooperation rather than conflict. This slow transformation did more than improve taste. It unlocked nutrients that would otherwise remain trapped. Minerals such as iron and magnesium became absorbable instead of blocked. Compounds that irritated the gut were reduced naturally. What remained was food that felt heavy in the hand but gentle inside the body, providing fullness without discomfort and energy without agitation. Modern bread removes time from the process entirely. Fermentation is shortened or replaced. Dough is forced to rise quickly through industrial yeast, conditioners, and additives designed to mimic the outward appearance of proper bread without performing its internal work. The loaf looks complete, but the transformation never happened. When food reaches the body unfinished, the body must rush to finish it. Digestion becomes stressful instead of steady. Energy spikes instead of settling. Hunger returns sooner because the body never felt truly supported. The absence of time creates absence of satisfaction. Time also shaped how people related to bread. Waiting created intention. Bread was baked less often, eaten with awareness, and valued deeply. The act of preparation carried meaning, and that meaning carried into the meal itself. The body responds to this rhythm. When food arrives after waiting, it signals safety rather than urgency. Modern bread arrives instantly. There is no anticipation, no process, no pause. The body senses this immediacy and mirrors it. Eat quickly. Digest quickly. Get hungry quickly. What was once a slow cycle of nourishment becomes a fast loop of consumption. Time was not an ingredient written on a label, but it was present in every loaf. It softened grain, supported digestion, stabilized energy, and trained the body to feel full without excess. Medieval bread did not fight the body because time had already done the work. When time is removed, the body pays the price. Fullness shortens, hunger grows louder, and the quiet wisdom that once lived in food disappears. Density created real satiety. Medieval bread was dense by intention, not by accident. Every loaf carried weight because weight mattered. Bread was not meant to feel large in the hands while being empty inside. It was meant to deliver substance, nutrition, and endurance with each bite. Density was the signal that the food would last. When medieval people ate bread, they felt its resistance. The crust was firm, the crumb compact, and each chew required effort. This effort was important. Chewing slowly sent signals of satisfaction to the body long before the stomach was full. The nervous system recognized real food and responded with calm rather than urgency. Fullness developed gradually and stayed present for hours. Modern bread relies on air instead of substance. It is engineered to be light, soft, and visually abundant, yet it collapses the moment it enters the mouth. The stomach senses this immediately. Volume disappears, nutrients arrive too quickly, and digestion finishes before fullness has time to settle. The result is a hollow feeling that returns soon after eating, even if large quantities were consumed. Density affects how the body processes energy. Dense bread slows digestion naturally, keeping the stomach occupied and the release of energy steady. Blood sugar remains stable, hunger signals stay quiet, and mental focus remains intact. The body does not feel the need to search for more food because it is still working through what it has already received. In medieval life, bread was often eaten alone or with simple accompaniments. There were no layers of sugar, oils, or distractions. This simplicity allowed the body to measure intake accurately. 1 or 2 slices were enough because those slices carried real weight, both physically and nutritionally. Modern eating habits hide emptiness beneath softness. Bread feels comforting at first, but comfort without substance fades quickly. The body asks for more, not out of desire, but out of unfinished digestion. Hunger becomes repetitive rather than informative. Density also shaped portion control naturally. Because medieval bread was filling, overeating was difficult. The body reached satisfaction before excess became possible. There was no need for willpower or restraint. The food itself created boundaries. Modern bread removes those boundaries. Its lightness invites constant eating, and its lack of resistance delays the body's fullness signals. People eat more without realizing it, and still feel unsatisfied afterward. Medieval bread did not aim to please the tongue alone. It aimed to support the entire system. Its density grounded the body, slowed the mind, and closed the hunger loop. Modern bread opens that loop and keeps it open. True satiety is not created by softness or volume. It is created by substance. Medieval bread understood this truth, and the body responded accordingly. Bread matched the life that ate it. Medieval bread was not created in isolation from daily life. It was shaped by the demands placed on the human body at the time. People walked long distances, worked with their hands, carried heavy loads, and spent their days moving rather than sitting. Bread was designed to meet those demands, not to comfort stillness, but to fuel endurance. Each loaf carried slow energy, meant to be released gradually as the body worked. The food did not overwhelm the system, nor did it disappear quickly. It supported long hours of labor without constant eating. Hunger arrived naturally, not urgently, and meals felt complete rather than interrupted. The rhythm of medieval life allowed food to serve a clear purpose. Calories were not stored for later, they were used. The body understood this relationship and responded efficiently. Energy flowed outward through movement, work, and effort, and fullness felt natural rather than heavy. Modern bread exists in a different environment. Today, bread is often consumed while sitting, scrolling, or resting. Energy arrives without movement to absorb it. The body senses this imbalance and reacts by demanding more food, not because it needs additional calories, but because the existing energy has nowhere to go. Hunger in modern life is often a response to unused fuel. The body continues to ask because it never reaches resolution. Medieval bread rarely created this problem, because it was paired with activity that completed the metabolic cycle. Meals in medieval times were also fewer and more intentional. Bread was eaten at set times, often as a foundation rather than a filler. There was no constant grazing, no snacking to manage boredom, and no eating to escape discomfort. The body experienced clear beginnings and endings to nourishment. Modern eating patterns blur those boundaries. Bread becomes a constant presence rather than a complete meal. Without a clear start and finish, the body never receives the signal that eating has truly ended. Medieval bread respected the relationship between food and effort. It assumed the body would move, work, and use what it received. Modern bread assumes nothing and serves everything at once, creating confusion rather than clarity. When food and lifestyle are aligned, hunger behaves predictably. When they are disconnected, hunger becomes persistent. Medieval bread fit its time. Modern bread floats without context. The lesson is not that people must live like medieval workers, but that food must match how the body is used. When nourishment and movement cooperate, fullness feels natural. When they do not, hunger becomes constant and unresolved. Stable energy meant stable appetite. Medieval bread supported the body by keeping energy steady rather than intense. It was not designed to excite the system or create bursts of quick strength followed by collapse. Instead, it provided slow and reliable fuel that allowed the body to remain balanced for long periods of time. This stability shaped appetite in ways modern food no longer does. Because medieval bread contained whole grains, natural fermentation, and no added sugars, energy entered the bloodstream gradually. There were no sharp rises and no sudden falls. The body remained calm, the nervous system stayed grounded, and hunger signals remained quiet until nourishment was truly needed again. This stability mattered deeply. When energy is steady, the body does not feel threatened. It does not rush to store food or demand more. Appetite remains predictable and manageable because the system trusts that fuel will continue to arrive at a reliable pace. Modern bread disrupts this trust. Refined flour and hidden sugars cause energy to spike quickly and disappear just as fast. The body experiences this as instability and responds by increasing hunger, not because energy is missing, but because it arrived too suddenly and left too quickly. Cravings are often mistaken for desire or lack of discipline, but they are frequently the result of energy volatility. When blood sugar rises sharply and then crashes, the body demands immediate correction. Hunger becomes urgent rather than informative, loud rather than gentle. Medieval bread rarely created this cycle. It did not overstimulate the system, and it did not abandon it either. Energy unfolded slowly, allowing the body to work, think, and move without interruption. Meals felt complete because energy felt complete. Stable energy also supported mental clarity. Without crashes, focus remained strong and emotions stayed even. Appetite was not driven by stress or fatigue, but by real physiological need. Eating became a response to true hunger rather than a reaction to exhaustion. Modern bread often creates the opposite experience. After a brief sense of comfort, energy fades, concentration weakens, and irritability increases. The body seeks food again to restore balance, even though enough calories were already consumed. Medieval diets allowed appetite to function as it was designed. Hunger arrived calmly and left quietly. There was no constant negotiation with cravings because the system remained stable throughout the day. When energy is steady, appetite settles. Medieval bread understood this relationship. Modern bread ignores it, and the body pays the price through constant hunger and fatigue. Bread was eaten with respect. In medieval life, bread was never a background food. It was not something eaten absent-mindedly or in passing. Bread represented labor, land, time, and survival. And people understood this deeply. Grain had to be grown through seasons, harvested by hand, stored carefully, and ground with effort. Every loaf carried the memory of work, and that awareness shaped how it was eaten. Because bread was difficult to produce, it was never wasted. Meals were deliberate rather than constant. When bread was placed on the table, attention followed. People ate slowly, not because they were taught to, but because the food itself demanded it. Dense texture, firm crust, and substantial weight encouraged chewing, pausing, and awareness. This pace mattered. Slow eating allowed the body to recognize fullness gradually and accurately. The nervous system had time to register safety and sufficiency. Appetite quieted naturally because the body felt acknowledged rather than rushed. Modern bread is eaten in a very different context. It is available everywhere and at all times. It is eaten while walking, scrolling, driving, or working. There is no pause, no awareness, and no sense of completion. Food becomes something consumed alongside distraction rather than an event in itself. The body responds to this absence of attention. When eating is rushed or unconscious, fullness signals are delayed or missed. Hunger returns quickly, not because the body needs more food, but because it never registered the meal properly. Respect also shaped portion sizes. Medieval bread did not invite excess because it carried weight and meaning. People stopped eating when they felt satisfied, not when the bread was gone. The food created its own boundaries. Modern bread removes those boundaries by being light, soft, and endlessly available. It encourages continued eating without resistance. Without friction, the body struggles to sense when enough has been consumed. Respect extended beyond eating into gratitude. Bread was often shared, sometimes prayed over, and always valued. This emotional context mattered. The body responds not only to nutrients, but to the conditions in which they are consumed. Calm, gratitude, and presence support digestion and satisfaction. Medieval bread nourished both body and rhythm. Modern bread fills gaps without closing them. When food is respected, it completes a cycle. When it is rushed, the cycle remains open. The loss of respect did not make people weaker. It made food less meaningful. And when food loses meaning, hunger grows louder, not quieter. Modern bread is designed to keep you hungry. Modern bread did not become unsatisfying by accident. Its transformation followed the priorities of speed, scale, and profit rather than nourishment. Each change moved bread further away from its original role as a sustaining food and closer to a product designed for frequent consumption. Hunger, in this system, is not a problem to be solved, but a condition to be maintained. Refined flour digests quickly and disappears just as fast, ensuring that fullness never lasts long. Added sugars, even in small amounts, create brief pleasure, followed by energy collapse. Soft textures require little chewing, delaying the body's ability to recognize when enough has been eaten. Each of these features encourages repetition rather than completion. Shelf life replaced substance as the main goal. Bread needed to stay soft for days, resist mold, and look appealing under artificial lighting. To achieve this, time was removed, fermentation was shortened, and additives replaced natural processes. The loaf appears finished, but its relationship with the body is incomplete. When food no longer satisfies, the body responds by asking for more. This response is often misinterpreted as lack of discipline or overeating, but it is simply the body seeking what it did not receive. Modern bread delivers calories without closure. The cycle is predictable. Eat bread and feel brief comfort. Energy rises quickly and falls just as fast. Hunger returns sooner than expected, often stronger than before. The solution offered is always more food, never better food. Medieval bread ended this cycle. It was filling by design. Modern bread extends it deliberately. Marketing reinforces this loop by encouraging frequent eating and constant availability. Bread is no longer a meal, but a companion to every moment. Without clear beginnings and endings, appetite becomes continuous rather than episodic. The body never receives the signal that nourishment is complete. This design does not require intention at the individual level. It functions automatically. Faster digestion increases sales, shorter satiety increases demand, hunger becomes normalized, and fullness becomes rare. The tragedy is not that people eat too much bread. It is that bread no longer fulfills its role. What was once a foundation of strength has become a source of instability. Modern bread keeps hunger alive, not because the body has changed, but because the food has. And when hunger becomes constant, people blame themselves rather than the system that shaped their food. Understanding this restores clarity. Fullness is not a failure of willpower. It is a function of design. When food is built to sustain life, hunger rests. When it is built to be consumed endlessly, hunger never ends. The past was not perfect. Life was harder, days were longer, work was heavier. But food had a purpose. Bread was not meant to excite you. It was meant to carry you. It did not rush through the body. It stayed. It supported. It finished the job. Modern hunger is not always a sign of weakness. Often, it is a sign of forgetting. Forgetting what real food feels like. Forgetting what true fullness means. Forgetting that nourishment should bring calm, not craving. The answer is not eating more. It is eating what lasts. And sometimes, progress does not mean moving forward. Sometimes, it means remembering what once worked and choosing substance over speed, depth over softness, and nourishment over noise. Because when food is built to sustain life, hunger finally learns to rest.